The administration of the Ghana Police Service has requested the United Nations to permit a 3-member team into the WOW mission area in South Sudan for a better understanding of the sexual accusation leveled against officers who are on peacekeeping there. On February 22, a decision was taken to withdraw all the 46 Ghanaian peacekeepers from their duty stations from WOW to Juba. The Ghana Police Service has assured strict sanctions will be applied to 46 of its personnel in South Sudan under investigation by the UN for engaging in sexual exploitation if they are found culpable. The Ghana Police Service has also expressed commitment to ensure that officers display high professional standards in peacekeeping operations. ACP David Senanweku is Director of Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service, and he's in the studio with us this morning. Thank you, sir, for joining us. You're welcome.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure to come here.
Great to have you. First off, let's take your reaction to hearing this particular news as the police service.
It is not good news, taking into consideration the excellent reputation that we have chalked over the years, decades, in peacekeeping operations as police officers. Yeah. And it is a very serious allegation as far as UN regulations are concerned, and even good policing practices are concerned. So that is why we put out a statement to assure the UN that we fully support all investigations that are ongoing to make sure that those found culpable are made to face the full rigors of UN, the sanctions as stipulated in the UN regulations.
Okay. Now, we've heard rumors of peacekeeping troops engaging in sexual relations with women in the areas that they are sent to. Last year, December, Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul actually gave a caution to some military officers and actually asked them to behave like Catholic priests. What kind of preparation do your men go through when they're going on such missions with regards to this particular area?
Let me emphasize that so far this is an allegation that is yet to be proved.
Exactly.
So the case is under investigation. So let us be very careful, mindful of the rights of even those who are
exactly. I appreciate, but we just want to understand.
Yes. We have various police officers who go. This particular group constitutes what we call the Form Police Unit. They go as a group, they are lightly armed, and they go there to protect UN property and personnel, as well as those who have been displayed. Now, before they are deployed, they are selected from the Form Police Units in Ghana. We have a Form Police Unit in Ghana. They are taken through the basic screening. After that, international partners are invited to give them 8 weeks training.
8 weeks?
Yeah, 8 weeks. And then the UN sends their officers to come and certify them as ready to be deployed. So they go through these various stages.
Well, like you've mentioned, this is currently under investigation, and per the UN modalities with investigating such matters, the UN themselves have their own investigation, but they encourage the host nation from which these troops are to also investigate the matter.
What we do under the UN, under the MOU, the UN does its investigations. If it requires repatriation back to their home country, it is done. And then the host country, the home country, is also responsible to take actions. This one may be disciplinary actions against the officers who are found culpable. And then communicate that to the UN. So these are the procedures.
Okay, so do you do it concurrently, or
no.
They finish their...
Exactly, because for now they are under the full ambit of the UN. They are under the rules and regulations of the United Nations. So UN will have to finish their investigations. What we requested for is let a 3-member team to go there to get a full understanding of the issues there, because we still have over 200 police officers serving in that mission. So there's a need for a team to go there and get the first understanding.
So in cases like this, we have a 46-member formed police unit. Definitely not all of them are being accused by the information we have. A few of them are being accused. In the situation where these claims are substantiated, does it affect the entire group, or we pick the individuals at fault?
Yes, they will pick the individuals at fault, but it depends on the extent of involvement of others. Because they have something, because they are deployed as a group, there is something we call collective responsibility. So the investigations would indicate which angle to go.
So you talk about collective responsibility, and I know that we have troops going to these missions occasionally, and has this situation affected the batch waiting to go on the mission?
For now, we cannot say that because there's no precedent showing that because one person has misbehaved, it affects the whole group.
So the next team preparing to go on the UN mission is likely to embark on it?
What I'm saying is that it is likely they would go, because what I'm saying that this is individual responsibility, and after the investigation, then we'll find out where the lapses were, and those affected will be punished. But it is not likely to affect the deployment of some, because I've indicated that we have over 200 police officers currently serving that mission. Yeah.
Is this the first time you are recording a case like this?
We started deploying FPUs 3 years ago, 2015, and this is the first time we have recorded a case like this, an allegation like this against our officers.
Interesting. So, how often are deployments done? You mentioned the Form Police unit, it's been 3 years, but how often in a year do we have deployments?
It depends on the request of the mission. It could be 2, it could be 3, and then there are various categories. We have police officers who go as individual police officers. Currently, we have them in 4 missions, and the average number of years they spend is between 1 and 2 years, and then there's another rotation that goes. So it depends on the request of the UN mission. Yeah.
I know you've reiterated that this case is still under investigation, but we want to just look at the likely punishments.
It is difficult to conjecture any punishment now. Let us wait till the investigations are done, and it will also come with recommendations from the United Nations. We'll look at it before we see the way forward.
But here in Ghana, if we have to have some disciplinary action or disciplinary sanctions for these police officers, if the claims are substantiated, what are they likely to be?
If it is a crime that the law says can be punished anywhere, they will face court action. But if it's not a crime but a misconduct, then there are also rules and regulations for taking them through internal service inquiry disciplinary procedures. Yeah.
ACP, what is the proper behavior or code of ethics for personnel who are deployed to such missions with regards to their sexual relations?
Yes, before you are deployed for a UN peacekeeping missions, you are taken through pre-deployment training, which is done here internationally. And then when you get to the mission ground, you're also taken through another level of training. One, you have to respect the customs and traditions of the host people of the host country. You have to treat them with courtesy, and you must avoid any sexual relations with the locals. Whether it is by consent or not, it is a no-go area for peacekeepers. Yeah, those are the conditions. Yeah.
And so they are not under any circumstance allowed to have any sexual relations with...
It is a no, it's a zero tolerance level, no area.
How are we likely to be affected by this if it turns out that this indeed is true and we had some of our personnel engaging in sexual exploitation?
Well, as I said, when it comes to these issues, it is first individual responsibility. But we would have to take steps to avoid any future occurrence. As I told you, we have police officers serving currently in 4 UN missions: Sudan, Somalia, and then Central African Republic, including South Sudan. So I don't think from the report that came, the UN itself acknowledged the excellent performance of Ghanaian police officers on peacekeeping missions. And they also indicated in that report that this incident is not widespread, it's an isolated case. So it is not widespread, it is not characteristics of Ghanaian police officers who go on UN peacekeeping missions.
Interesting. You mentioned that the UN has a zero tolerance policy for sexual abuse and exploitation. And that's why I'm asking, in cases like these, even though you mentioned that we don't have an example here in Ghana, what is likely to happen to the country that offers its men for UN missions if it is found that, yes, indeed, these police officers were exploiting the women in Sudan? And some of them we are hearing are pretty young women. What are the implications for us as a country and as a Ghana Police Service?
What I said is that there are two levels of punishment. The UN itself has its own punishments up at the MOU. Internally, there are also disciplinary actions that will be taken against the officers involved.
Are we, for example, is the UN likely to say we won't accept any troops from Ghana again because of this, if it's found out that is true?
I cannot speak for the UN. These are arrangements between the states and then the United Nations.
But you have a certain agreement, there are certain legal frameworks within which you work. We just help us understand in terms of such breaches.
It is not prudent now to start conjecturing until they finish the investigations before we know what line action to take.
It's interesting. Tell us how men are selected to go on peacekeeping missions. How personnel, how does one qualify to be part of a mission?
There are two levels. If you are going as an individual police advisor or officer, you must have spent at least 8 years in the Ghana Police Service. You are invited, you are taken through what we call selection process, the SAT process. There are several tests you need to write, listening, comprehension skills, and other things. And if you qualify, officers from the UN are brought to Ghana here to test you on various levels, driving and other things. And if you pass before you are certified to undertake any peacekeeping operation,
That's quite stringent.
Yes, very stringent.
So looking at all these preparations, talk about education, seminars, were you shocked at this particular release from the UN?
Yeah, we're not expecting this kind of report from us, not from Ghanaian police officers. We're not happy.
Are you aware of how many of our men out of the 46-member team have been fingered in this particular incident?
We don't have the full report yet, and I have indicated the case is still under investigation, so I don't have the idea.
But there were reports made, so we don't know if it's against 2 police officers or 3 or 4 or 5.
The report we have has not indicated specific number of police officers who are involved, so the investigations is still ongoing.
Quickly, let's look at the way forward for the Ghana Police Service. Obviously, a dent on our image here in Ghana. So what's the way forward?
The way forward is we would wait for the investigations. We're also sending a team there to have a full understanding of the situation and see what can be done to correct it immediately. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, ACP David Eklu, speaking to us here on this rather unfortunate news that came over the weekend of some Ghanaian men or Ghanaian formed police unit on peacekeeping mission in Sudan accused of sexual exploitation. We'll be bringing you more on this, definitely. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories to stay.